Welcome back to another deep dive.
Yeah.
I am so glad you're joining us today because we have a truly wild topic to unpack.
Yeah, we really do. Thanks for having me back to get into all of this with you.
Of course. So usually when we talk about a multi-million-dollar corporate rebrand, there's this expectation of like absolute precision.
Oh, totally. Very clinical.
Right. You hire an agency, you run focus groups, test the messaging, and the executives just point to a shiny new logo and say, there it is, our new era. It's sterile. It's controlled.
But that is definitely not what happens in the world of digital influencer scandals.
No, not at all. You step into that world and suddenly that corporate playbook is completely thrown out the window. We are looking at a rebranding landscape today that is, honestly, a total train wreck in slow motion.
A very public train wreck.
Exactly.
Ex-
And that's exactly our mission today for you, the listener. We are taking a massive stack of sources. I mean, we've got Mashable analyses, highly critical Reddit threads, Us Weekly updates, and even like academic-style brand studies.
It's a lot of material to go through.
It is. And we're using it to unpack the anatomy of an internet comeback that is just going spectacularly wrong. We are looking at the post-scandal playbook of former Try Guys member Ned Fulmer.
It is such a fascinating case study in crisis communications. I mean, we're looking at a man whose entire multi-million-dollar brand was built on being, the ultimate devoted wife guy.
Right, the wife guy, that was his whole thing.
It was. And the challenge he faces is, how do you attempt a digital pivot after blowing up your marriage, your reputation, your business in one fell swoop?
Right out of the gate, to understand why this comeback is failing so spectacularly, we have to establish the exact architecture of the crash.
We do. The context is everything here.
Because I saw some chatter online, a few contrarian viewpoints saying the internet was just being overly dramatic, that cancel culture had gone too far over a private affair.
I saw this too.
But based on our sources, this wasn't just a run-of-the-mill celebrity cheating scandal. This was a corporate implosion.
That is the crucial distinction to make. The whole narrative of it's just a private affair completely ignores the legal reality of creator-owned businesses.
Right. It wasn't just some random person.
Exactly. Ned didn't just cheat on his wife of 10 years, Ariel. He had a year-long affair with a subordinate employee.
Alexandria Herring, right?
Yes, and she was also engaged to be married. But the structural issue here, the really big problem, is that Ned was essentially the HR and paperwork guy for their company, Second Try LLC.
He was literally an owner-manager.
Yes, exactly.
I have to ask about the mechanics of that because looking at the financial devastation outlined in the Mashable reporting, the numbers are just staggering.
Oh, they're massive.
Why does a private relationship trigger such an immediate scorched earth corporate response? I mean, this isn't just a PR problem. This is like the head of a vegan ethics board getting caught secretly running a slaughterhouse, right?
That is actually a great analogy. It comes down to liability. Pure and simple.
Okay, break that down for us.
When an owner and acting HR manager engages in a secret relationship with a subordinate, you immediately open the entire company to a hostile work environment lawsuit.
Oh, wow. Because of the power dynamic.
Precisely. If that subordinate receives preferential treatment, other employees can sue. If the relationship sours and she is, terminated or demoted, she can sue for retaliation.
So they were basically a walking lawsuit waiting to happen.
Yes. The remaining Try Guys were staring down the barrel of massive legal and financial ruin. They handled it perfectly by the corporate book, honestly.
You really did. They hired an outside HR firm, right?
They did. They conducted an independent investigation, and they ousted him to save the entity.
And the fallout wasn't just theoretical. The sources detail how they literally lost a television deal with the Food Network.
A massive deal.
Yeah. And the remaining members were forced to do these massive, expensive re-edits of their YouTube videos just to scrub him from the content.
Just burning money in the editing room.
Right. We are talking about shelving videos that were deemed completely unreleasable. You're paying salaries, paying for locations, setting up sponsor integrations, and then just poof, having to set the footage on fire.
It cost the company millions in sponsorships and lost revenue.
Unbelievable.
And what is so interesting is how frantically the behind-the-scenes maneuvering operated during that initial fallout. Like, we all saw that infamous Saturday Night Live sketch that aired right around the time the news broke.
Oh my gosh, yes. The SNL sketch.
It tried to paint the internet's reaction as hysterical. It was basically mocking the Try Guys for overreacting to a simple, workplace romance.
But the internet sleuths are fast. They figured out almost immediately that this sketch was allegedly penned by an SNL writer who was close friends with Ned from their days at Yale.
Exactly. It was such a blatant attempt to leverage elite behind-the-scenes connections to launder his reputation through traditional media.
Like using a legacy institution to punch down at internet culture.
That was the strategy. Make the outrage seem silly. But the audience is incredibly media literate today. They saw right through the Yale connection, and the attempt completely backfired.
So the legal and corporate doors were slammed shut by that HR investigation? Traditional media failed to bail him out. He couldn't rely on existing structures to rehabilitate his image,
No, he was completely isolated.
which meant he was forced into a grassroots digital pivot, creating his own platform from scratch.
Or so it seemed.
Right. 3 years later, he launches a new digital property, a podcast literally called Rock Bottom.
And the execution of that launch is where we start seeing the real mechanics of his digital strategy and why it ultimately alienated people even further.
Yeah, I have to push back on one element here because the sources reveal a wildly sneaky detail about this launch.
The RSS feed.
Yes, he didn't start from zero. He secretly hijacked the RSS feed of Baby Steps.
Which was the old beloved parenting podcast he used to host with Ariel.
Yeah. He just changed the title and the artwork in the back end. Now, in traditional business, acquiring an email list or a distribution channel is just smart marketing.
Sure, in a standard corporate setting.
Right. So why is hijacking an RSS feed viewed as such a massive betrayal by the audience? Isn't he just using the assets he built?
Well, in the creator economy, the currency isn't just distribution, it's parasocial trust.
Parasocial trust, yeah.
To understand why people were so angry, you have to look at the mechanism of an RSS feed. It's basically a digital beacon.
Like a signal?
Exactly. When you subscribe to a show on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, your phone just automatically checks that beacon for new audio files.
It's like sneaking into someone's house while they're asleep, changing the locks, and pretending you've always lived there, just to trick the mailman, the algorithm, into delivering your mail.
That is a perfect analogy. By keeping the same RSS beacon but swapping out the audio files, he totally bypassed the need to earn a new audience.
He just forced it on them.
He forced the new show onto the devices of 60,000 subscribers who thought they were following a wholesome parenting podcast.
Wow.
And he inherited its historic 5 million downloads to make his new venture look instantly successful.
To artificially inflate those first-week metrics.
Exactly. Which is what advertisers look at. But this strategy leads directly to a phenomenon that brand analysts call the curiosity cliff.
The curiosity cliff. I like that term. What does that actually look like in the data for this launch?
It looks like a free fall, seriously.
Huh?
The launch episode of Rock Bottom, which prominently featured Ariel, garnered over 1.4 million views. Massive engagement.
Okay, so the hijack worked at first.
It did. But the audience completely abandoned ship immediately after. Subsequent episodes, where Ned tried to transition into a standard interviewer format.
Like talking to experts and stuff?
Yeah, talking to experts or voice actors like Phil Lamar. The numbers just plummeted. We're talking views dropping to as low as 4,000 within a week.
Wait, really? 4,000 views, down from 1.4 million?
Yes, a complete drop-off.
I mean, does he actually think people want him as a general interviewer? Or is he just totally blind to the fact that the audience only cares about the morbid gossip?
It really points to a profound lack of self-awareness. I mean, the data unequivocally proves that the audience interest is tied entirely to the scandal.
Obviously.
Right. The audience does not view him as a resilient host or some thought leader on overcoming adversity. The moment the subject matter shifted away from the drama of his personal life, the engagement simply evaporated.
Which means that massive spike in initial viewership was entirely conditional.
Completely.
And let's be real, you and I both know the audience didn't tune into that first episode for Ned.
No, of course not.
They tuned in for Ariel. And based on all the Reddit threads and the U.S. Weekly coverage we looked at, she delivered an absolute masterclass in taking back the narrative.
She certainly did. It was remarkable to watch.
Set the context of that premiere episode for us.
So Ned officially announced they had been separated for 3 years.
3 whole years.
Yeah. And then he spent a significant portion of the hour detailing his, intensive rehabilitation. He talked about his 12-step program, his group therapy.
Sounds exhausting.
He talked about how he signed a formal disclosure document and even volunteered for a lie detector test to address the betrayal trauma he caused.
Okay, I need to admit some genuine confusion here.
Mm-hmm.
Because I read the transcript of this, and it sounds like he just downloaded a therapy terminology cheat sheet to absolve himself.
A lot of people felt that way.
I mean, betrayal trauma, disclosure documents. What is the psychological strategy here? Why does it feel so deeply rehearsed?
The strategy is an attempt to use clinical language to shield oneself from moral judgment.
Interesting.
Yeah, betrayal trauma is a very real psychological concept. It refers to the deep emotional damage caused when someone you fundamentally depend on violates your trust.
Which is exactly what he did.
Right. And in a clinical setting, identifying it is a step toward healing. But audiences in the 2020s are highly attuned to what critics call therapy washing.
Therapy washing.
Yeah.
That makes so much sense.
Yeah. They recognize when a public figure learns the vocabulary of accountability without demonstrating the actual humility required for it.
So it comes across as a deflection tactic.
Exactly. It's a way of saying, look at all the clinical work I've done. You are no longer allowed to be angry with me.
And clearly the audience wasn't buying it. And more importantly, Ariel wasn't buying it.
Not at all.
She outright stated in the episode that she has absolutely not forgiven him.
Yes. That was the pivotal moment of the entire broadcast. She effectively used his own platform, the one he hijacked, to set the record straight on her terms.
There is this one defining moment that is highlighted across all the sources. It's in almost every Reddit snark thread.
I know exactly the moment you mean.
Ariel looks at him, dead on camera, and brutally asks, "Do you think you're interesting enough?"
It is such a devastating question because it strikes at the absolute core of the creator ego.
It really does.
The entire premise of being an influencer is the belief that your daily life, your thoughts, and your personality are inherently interesting to millions of strangers.
And she's sitting there essentially saying, without the family man gimmick, you have nothing left to offer.
Precisely. The analysis from viewers was that Ariel used this interview to humiliate him slightly, but more strategically, to definitively close the chapter.
So the public would stop bothering her in her daily life.
Yes. She recognized that by participating once, she could control the final word. She made it abundantly clear she is done playing the victim and done being associated with his brand.
She basically said, I'm doing this once so you all leave me alone at the grocery store.
Basically, yeah.
And there was another detail from the Reddit sources during this episode that really caught my eye. In the middle of this therapy speak, failing to win back the audience, Ned randomly reveals that he has MS multiple sclerosis.
Yes. That was a huge moment in the commentary.
And the commenters overwhelmingly viewed this not with sympathy, but as a manipulative play. Why did introducing a very real, serious medical diagnosis backfire so badly?
It really comes down to the implicit contract of an apology tour.
Okay, tell me more.
When you are asking the public to hear you out regarding a massive ethical failure, the audience expects you to stay entirely focused on the harm you caused.
Keep the focus on the victims.
Right. When you introduce a serious medical diagnosis into a conversation where you are actively losing the moral high ground, audiences perceive it as a tactical deployment of vulnerability.
Oh, wow. Tactical vulnerability.
It makes the audience feel trapped. They feel like they are being told, you can't be mad at me for destroying my company and my family because I have a medical condition.
It's like an emotional hostage situation.
Exactly. It violates the contract of a pure apology, and so the audience rejects it as just another form of manipulation.
So let's look at the scoreboard here. His traditional media connections fail. His podcast hijack plummets off the curiosity cliff.
Yep.
His therapy-washed apology tour is dismantled on camera by his own ex-wife. And his medical revelation is rejected as manipulative. When the reformed, therapy-going family man angle totally flops, where do you go?
You lean entirely into the chaos.
And that brings us to the latest, most bizarre development in the sources. The complete abandonment of the wholesome image. Ned doxing his own profile on the dating app field.
Yeah, this took everyone by surprise. For those unfamiliar with the platform, Field is a dating app that specifically caters to ethical non-monogamy, polyamory, and the kink community.
So it's distinctly not a mainstream swipe for coffee kind of app.
Not at all. It's very specialized.
And his bio, which he posted to Twitter himself, claiming someone else leaked it, so he was just, like, owning it, reads, Dom-leaning switch looking for a bratty sub.
Yeah.
I need you to decode this for us. Because going from the ultimate Disney adult wife guy to posting this publicly is giving me whiplash. What do these terms actually mean?
Well, in the terminology of the kink community, a dom-leaning switch refers to someone who generally prefers to take the dominant role in a power dynamic, but is flexible enough to sometimes take the submissive role.
Okay, got it.
And a bratty sub refers to a submissive partner who acts out, pushes boundaries, or playfully rebels as part of the negotiated dynamic.
Okay, so the psychological insight here is just fascinating. We were looking at a guy who just violently lost all his corporate power, lost his financial leverage, lost his public adoration, and lost his marriage.
He lost everything that gave him authority.
Right. And his immediate response is to seek out explicit, heavily negotiated power dynamics in his private life to compensate.
That is exactly the psychological read that many analysts in the brand studies are making. When positive attention and legitimate authority are no longer accessible, the pursuit of control takes a different form.
That makes total sense.
But there is a darker, deeply ironic detail regarding this profile in the sources that we really cannot overlook.
Oh, yes, the photo. Tell everyone about the photo, because my jaw hit the floor when I read this.
Ned openly admitted online that the primary photo he used for this kink dating profile was actually taken by Ariel.
Wait for it.
And not just anywhere, but at a school fundraiser.
A school fundraiser. I mean, you are advertising for a bratty sub using a picture your ex-wife took while you were looking at a silent auction for a middle school bake sale.
It's hard to believe, but yes.
It's just wild.
The commenters in the pop culture forums dissected this relentlessly, because when you analyze the intentionality behind posting this to his own Twitter, the prevailing theories are basically twofold.
What's the first one?
The first theory is that this entire situation is a paid, undisclosed advertisement for the Field app, just disguised as a leak.
Ah, an ad.
Yeah, this is an influencer marketing tactic we see occasionally where brands pay for controversial exposure.
But the second theory, which seems much more widely accepted by the audience.
The second theory is that it is an incredibly sad, desperate plea for engagement. They coined the term unhinged divorce dad energy.
Oof. Unhinged divorce dad energy.
It reads as the actions of a man who realizes that fading into complete obscurity is his true rock bottom.
Right. When you can no longer be famous for being good, the only alternative to invisibility is to be infamous for being messy.
Exactly. He will do anything to avoid the silence of being forgotten.
Wow. That perfectly encapsulates the entire pivot. Let's zoom out and summarize what we've learned today, because Ned Fulmer's post-scandal journey really is a masterclass in how not to manufacture a comeback.
It really is a textbook example of what to avoid.
What we've seen is that when you build a multi-million-dollar business and a personal brand entirely on a lie, on a carefully curated, heavily monetized image of family devotion, you cannot just slap a fresh coat of therapy speak and a hijacked podcast feed over the wreckage and expect the internet to blindly follow you again.
No, they won't.
You can't use your Yale friends to change the narrative. You can't use clinical jargon to dodge accountability. The audience is simply too smart. They understand the mechanisms of the platforms, and they see the manipulation coming from a mile away.
They absolutely do. And, if we connect this specific corporate and personal implosion to the bigger picture, it leaves us with a very difficult question about the nature of our digital society.
I love where this is going. What's the question?
We live in an age where every misstep, every betrayal, and every apology is permanently archived and relentlessly scrutinized, which forces us to ask, is there a cultural statute of limitations on internet cancellation?
That's a deep thought.
Do public figures who have caused immense personal and professional harm deserve the right to quietly disappear, be forgotten, and rebuild a private life?
Right.
Or, by choosing to commodify their personal lives and marriages for profit in the first place, are they destined to perform their penance forever, trapped before an audience that has already decided it will never, ever forgive them?
Man, that is a heavy thought to leave on, but such an important one. And we want to hear from you on this. What do you think is the most embarrassing part of this comeback attempt? Is it the RSS hijack, the therapy speak, or the dating app bio?
I'd love to know what people think.
Let us know down in the comments section. And hey, make sure to like and subscribe to the channel so you never miss a deep dive like this. It really tells the YouTube algorithm that you enjoy this kind of content and helps push it out to more curious learners just like you. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you in the next one.